Welcome everybody back to the Bad Mouth Podcast, where today I'm going to be talking about yesterday's game, the North London Derby. A lot of words were said last night to my TV screen about that game, and obviously I'm here to talk about them today. Probably not repeat the things I said, but definitely talk about them today. I'm not a Juve fan in particular. It's just a really nice shirt. So, yeah, ignore him not wearing a Tottenham shirt for once, but I don't think I really want to, unless we beat PSG 20-0 on Wednesday. Anyway, just quickly, obviously did do a video on the United game, like I said, because I was at Max Airsoft, which was good. So didn't watch the game. Was very happy with Richarlison. Was it Richarlison scored the winner, and then De Ligt scored an equaliser. Just from that, it's quite disappointing to see the team. As much as I heard it was probably deserved to be a draw, or maybe leaning towards United deserved to winning that game, which I don't really doubt, to be honest. I think definitely scoring the supposed winner in added time, in injury time of the second half, and then going to concede a goal in that same time afterwards, I think is disgraceful, and the defence should just the entire team really needs to look at themselves really. But anyway, that game is in the past. I wish it was the game last night. I would have preferred a bloody draw, but it's fine. Last night was terrible. It was absolute shit from the get-go. All right, the formation was all wrong. It was all wrong. Tottenham should not be playing with a 5-back. No way in hell should there be 5. No, 4 at the most and the least. 4. I obviously look, Adoji, Van der Ven, Romero, Danzo, and Spence. I love those players, but I do not want to sacrifice a space for the attack or midfield for another defender. I don't want it. Yeah, look, I love Danzo, and he's really good, and I think he played pretty okay yesterday, considering. But we shouldn't be playing a 5-back. I don't care what anyone says, especially going into a game against Arsenal. If you want to experiment, that's fine, and you want to experiment in a game, that's fine. But you do not do it against Arsenal in the league or in the cup, whatever. You don't do it against your biggest rivals. You don't do that. I think Thomas Frank got it completely wrong. Like I said, 5-back doesn't work. Not with us, and especially not with those players, yeah? Obviously, on paper, it may look good because you've got Adoji and Spence and Van der Ven and Romero and Danzo, but it does. I don't think it worked. And that's another thing about the defence last night. We just couldn't get out of our third. We couldn't get out of it, and it was quite sad to see. It was boring in a way. You know, Tottenham last season is as shit as we were, and as bad as the result in the league was at 17th. You know, we at least were exciting. You know, even in games we lost, it was still a bit entertaining. You know what I mean? So, but we just don't feel. I just don't feel we have that anymore. We're either entertaining or we're not, and you know, there's no in between. You know, obviously, I would rather be boring and still win. That's fine. But if you're going to be boring and not win, well, you know, you expect a 5-back defence will be sorted. You concede 4, especially a hat-trick against from Eze, which I'll get onto that soon. I just think it just didn't work. It didn't work. I've repeated it a lot, I know, but it just did not work. And I hope he never ever decides to do that again, unless it does work again. Which fair enough, all for it. But I don't see it working again. I don't see it working. We couldn't get out. We couldn't get out our third, and we couldn't get out. We were, you know, Arsenal did press well. They played well. They were really good. You know, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it and say, oh no, they played. Oh, you know, we made them look good. You know, although pretty much all 4 of their goals probably could have been, you know, defended well and probably could have been prevented. Sorry, that's the word. You know, as much as they could have been prevented, you know, it's still, they're not shit goals. They're good goals. Brilliant build up playing, brilliant playing to make it, brilliant in to creating the chance. to have the opportunity to score the goals, and they took the opportunities. Eze and Trossard took those opportunities. You know, as much as Trossard's goal, I don't think it's a really good pass and a really good run from Trossard, and Van der Ven's deflection off it probably made it go in, because I personally think Vicario was getting to that. Well, I'd say getting to that. It would have hit him, and he would have saved it if not for Van der Ven. I'll get on to individuals soon. Eze's 3 goals, basically all the same thing. There's too much space. There's no one going in for him, and if they do, they fail to do it. Eze's not pulling off some Neymar skills. He's not doing that. It's not for a professional footballer in the Premier League with a big 6 club and a big club like Tottenham. You should not be allowing a player to just as I just walked. He didn't run. He basically just walked into at the edge of our box, took a touch, took a few more, shot, and it was as easy as that. You can't blame Vicario, because as much as I think he could have done a little bit better, there's most of the time you've got to just rely on your back on your defence, and they failed him. They really did fail him. I definitely think though. Which one was it? I think Vicario did make a fair few good saves. Obviously denied Eze his 4th. There was a really good save in the 3rd minute of the first half. He made a really good save there. Obviously, it doesn't really matter. Would have reflected the game probably quite well. This a 6-1. But no, he made a few good saves. I think it's just disappointing. I mean, you go into a game as big as the North London Derby, and you'd expect every single player on both teams to show up and be their absolute best, and no one at Tottenham did. No one, not even no one off the bench. No one. These players do not know what a derby is, right? Obviously, for a few of them, it's their first North London Derby. Kudus, Palhinha. Danton Odebear probably played in them last season, but it's honestly it's disappointing. It's disgraceful. Honestly, they wear that shirt. They wear their name on the back of a Tottenham shirt, and they think that's okay. It's an absolutely disgraceful performance from the boys, and it's just really sad to see. I mean, obviously the first game of the season, if you want to count that, obviously the Super Cup with PSG, showed really good promise. As much as the result was disappointing in the end, it was really promising start to Frank's tenure as Tottenham's manager. But I don't see what's not why it's not clicking. I don't know what it is that's just we're just seeing a usual Tottenham, or we're seeing the usual Tottenham that we saw with Ange. As much as the team isn't as different. I mean, we've obviously got Xavi and Kudus, and Palhinha new in. It's not much different, and we still put up more of a fight against Arsenal the last 2 seasons with Ange than we did yesterday. So it's really disappointing. I'm really disappointed in the players and Frank for that game. It was terrible. I'll go into individual ratings, but you all know what it's going to be. Vicario lacks to perform, made a few good saves. It's not too bad from him. I don't think he's at fault for most. Danzo Bikev, I actually think he had a decent game. He really did try. I think he actually had the mentality of a derby in his head, and I think he actually played quite well. Romero, I don't remember him doing much, really. Probably closed down people more. Yeah, Van der Ven was probably the biggest disappointment for me yesterday. I think he's been really good recently. I mean, for the entire season, he's been really good. But yesterday, he was poor. He was a really big disappointment. Obviously, FotMob gives him a 4.8, which is in the red, which I think is a bit harsh. But it's definitely not far off. I mean, he wasn't good yesterday, and it's a shame to see. Jedna Doji, to be fair, couldn't do much. Couldn't get into the game really. I don't think. Arsenal had their wings tight, and They were just really tightly and nicely compact, and they played well. I'm really bigging up Arsenal, but I'm just being honest. That's all this is. Palhinha, I mean, he's got a green. I don't know how he's got a green. He did absolutely nothing that game, I don't think. Bentancur as well. I think Bentancur has to go. I'm not saying in January, maybe next summer, given the rest of the season, but I think he needs to go. I don't think he's good enough for us. Kudus, I don't think got in the game at all, really, either. I think it was difficult for the attack to get into the game because Arsenal were just really good defensively and the midfield was really good. I think, however, Arsenal looked really open at the back, but I don't think they cared because they knew we wouldn't get as far as that. If we pushed and got as far as that back line, I think we could have easily scored a few goals and we could have actually been in the game and game on, But we didn't, and, it's poor, but, it's whatever. We don't think about it, we move on, and that's it. But yeah, Kudus and Odegaard didn't get into it really. I think Odegaard was a bit poorer than we've seen him recently. I think he's much better as an impact off the bench. Definitely a good super sub, I think. So I think starting him over Xavi was a really stupid decision. But, it is what it is. Richie, I mean, even scoring a goal, I just don't think. I mean, it was a really good goal. I've got to give him that. I'm surprised. I thought he was going to miss, to be honest. I'm surprised he actually scored a really nice goal. Caught Raya off. But, yeah. There's not much to say about the players. There was no one that really impressed me I mean, obviously Vicario I think was probably our best player on the pitch. Maybe tied with Danzo. I think they really did try, them two. But the others were poor. They were really, really poor. I mean, off the bench, Xavi didn't do much. Sarr didn't do much. Kanawani didn't do much. Porro and Johnson. I mean, I stopped watching the game after the fourth goal. I mean, call me a fake supporter, but what's the point? What is the point? You're 4-1 down by the 80th minute. What is the point of watching it anymore? Like, what are Tottenham going to do? Pull off a miraculous 5-4? Yeah, highly doubt it. But no, really, really poor from them lot. And honestly, when we get Slanky, Kulu, and Madders back, that's going to be a really big thing to happen. And hopefully they can pick us back up and don't get injured again, don't get suspended, and hopefully we can start banging in some goals because I think that's a real big struggle of us. I think with Ange, there was no struggle with scoring goals, and we were really good with scoring goals. And obviously, defence was terrible. I think this season, though, defence has been quite good, ignoring this game, obviously. But the attack this year hasn't been what it should be. I think Xavi would actually play quite well under Ange, but it is what it is, really. At the end of the day, terrible North London derby. We just hope we do better next year when we play them at home on the 21st of Feb, which is a Saturday, 3 o'clock. Gotta love that time. But yeah, now full focus is getting better and doing well against PSG on Wednesday. I think attitude was completely wrong going into that game. I just don't fucking get it, really. It's so annoying because you'd think a big game like this, you'd go into it proper and you'd really try, but there was no trying at all with the players that game, and it was a disgrace. And honestly, some of them need to really look at themselves and be like, should I really be playing football again? Because it was disgraceful, honestly. I was watching a video of someone, Seb or the other one, saying like on TikTok was like, if I don't know what team it is, but it was some League 1, League 2 team. Like they would, and he said they would have put more up a fight against Arsenal. Damn right they would have. Damn right they would have. They would have really shown up for that occasion, but we didn't. And it's not good. It's disgraceful. We haven't won in the league since the Everton game. It's going to be a month, yeah, because obviously we ain't got a league game until 29th against Fulham. So yeah, it's going to be a month since we last won a game in the league. Obviously 3 losses and a draw. And obviously Copenhagen game. No, actually, sorry. 2 losses, 1 draw. Sorry, I was including the Newcastle game. I forgot that's Carabao Cup. But yeah, we need to win against Fulham. We need to win that game. If we lose that game, I think Frank's got to go. I think he's really got to go because you need to beat Fulham. Ange has struggled against Fulham the last 2 seasons. I don't think we beat. No. I think we did beat them. Yeah. We beat them 2-0. Ange's first season, draw 1-1, and then lost the other 2. But we really need to really need to put on a show against Fulham on Saturday. Really need to win that game. Or I think I'm gonna be shouting Frank out, and obviously Newcastle and Brentford as well. Newcastle's going to be a struggle at St James. We always lose there really, but if we get a result from that, happy days. Brentford, obviously Frank playing his old team, need to win that as well, and then Slavia Prague in the Champions League. That should be a must win. That should be easy really, but that's a different must win. But anyway. Full focus on Wednesday against PSG. Am I expecting much? Not really. But if they just show they've improved on last night's game, then I'm honestly satisfied with that. But if we manage to get a draw or even a win out of that game, I'm ecstatic. I mean, I was thinking the day of, people are asking, like, would you rather, win the Champions League but get relegated, or don't win it and stay in the league? Honestly, screw the league. Honestly, do last season, but even worse. But honestly, I'd rather win the Champions League and get relegated. I mean, that's probably the best record you could probably get, really. It'd be quite funny. Yeah, because we'll be playing the Champions League again next season in the Championship. And to be fair, I think the Championship will be quite a nice fresh, start for us. It'd be quite nice to do that, I think. It'd be a very interesting few games, that would be. But yeah. I really hope we do win the Champions League. As much as I don't care enough about... I mean, look, I want us to do well in the league, but after what we've been seeing recently, I don't think we will. I think we'll struggle getting top 4. We'll struggle getting top bloody 7, probably, let alone top 4. But hey, I mean, we're only a win off of top 4. I mean, we're only 3 points off of top 4. So, it's not the end of the world. Obviously Arsenal is 6 points clear at the top. They're 11 points ahead of us. So winning the league, most probably definitely out of our minds. But no, yeah, full focus on Wednesday. That's the most important thing. If we get a result there, it'll be tough, but you never know. You never know with Tottenham. We can pull off some blinders. Yeah, so I should be doing a video on the PSG game on the Thursday. Obviously, normally do the videos the day after. But yeah, I think that'll be all for today's episode. I'm sorry they're a bit short. I'm sort of running out of things to say really. I think I'm gonna maybe plan on doing another proper episode, maybe with Connor or someone else soon. It's coming to the point of the season where it's like the first quarter of the season. So, might as well get some thoughts of how everything's going. Maybe definitely get with Connor, so, we get a different team perspective from there. But, yeah, if you enjoyed the video and my anguish of last night's game, don't forget to like and subscribe. Comment down your thoughts below, and I will see you in the next one on Thursday against PSG. Goodbye.